Welcome to Muse House, a space for the inner world, for thoughtful conversations, honest reflection, and remembering who you are beneath the noise. I'm Tara, and wherever you're listening today, whether you're driving to work, walking the dog, folding, washing, hiding in the pantry for 5 minutes of peace, or sitting with your favorite cup of tea, I'm really glad you're here. Because today's conversation is one I've quietly been writing about for years, long before I ever knew it would become a conversation or a podcast. So I want to start by asking you a question. Have you ever walked into someone's home and noticed something they no longer see? Maybe it's a picture hanging slightly crooked, a door that sticks every time it closes, a crack running through the wall. You mention it and they laugh a little. Oh, that. It's been there forever. It's become part of the house, part of the scenery, almost invisible. I think we do exactly the same thing with ourselves. We imagine our lives change in dramatic moments. The divorce, the redundancy, the illness, the friendship ending, the business closing, the loss and the grief, the breakdown. And sometimes they do. But if I'm honest, I don't feel our lives usually fall apart in spectacular big moments. I notice they unravel quietly, one tiny compromise at a time, one conversation we don't have, one boundary we don't hold, one feeling we convince ourselves isn't that important. And yes, we say when we want to actually scream no, not because we're weak, not because we're broken, because we're human. And because somewhere along the way, many of us learnt that belonging was safer than honesty, that keeping the peace mattered more than keeping ourselves. I used to think betrayal was something another person did to you. I think we all believe that to some extent when we're younger. An affair, a lie, a broken promise, a friendship that suddenly disappeared, a business partnership that didn't become what you hoped it would. And yes, all of those things hurt. They hurt deeply. But as life has unfolded through motherhood, marriage, divorce, friendships, businesses, grief, family breakdowns, rebuilding, and becoming the woman sitting here talking to you today, I've started wondering if the betrayal that shapes our lives the most isn't the one someone else commits against us. It's the one we quietly commit against ourselves. The moments we stop believing what we know, the moments we negotiate with our own intuition or worth, the moments we talk ourselves out of what our body has already deeply understood. And the funny thing is, self-abandonment rarely feels dramatic while it's happening. Self-abandonment in the moment feels responsible, kind, patient, hopeful, understanding, loyal, reasonable. It wears really beautiful masks and disguises until one day you wake up inside a life that feels strangely unfamiliar and you can't quite figure out how you got there. So today, I don't want to talk about becoming someone new. I think we've had enough conversations telling women who they should become. And in my work, there is always space for the becoming and the deeper understanding, which is why I want to talk about coming home, about the tiny ways we leave ourselves and the equally tiny ways we can begin returning. The body has been writing letters you've never opened. I've always found it fascinating that our cars have dashboard lights, tiny little symbols, nothing dramatic, just a quiet invitation. Something needs your attention. So now imagine this. You're driving home one afternoon and a little orange light appears. You think, I'll deal with that later. Tomorrow comes, the light is still there. So you put a piece of tape over it. Problem solved. A week later, another light appears. More tape. Eventually the car starts making strange noises. More music, turn the radio up. Then one morning it breaks down completely. None of us would do that. We laugh because it sounds ridiculous, and yet, isn't that exactly what we do with ourselves? Our shoulders become permanently tight. That's just stress. Our jaw aches because we've been clenching our teeth all night. I've always done that. We stop sleeping. That's just motherhood. Our stomach knots every time a certain person's name flashes across our phone. I must just be anxious. We lose our spark. I probably just need a holiday. The body whispers, then it speaks, then eventually it shouts. Not because it's working against us, because it's working for us, trying to get our attention in the only language it has. I remember sitting in what will become one of the final seasons of Brella. On paper, everything still looked okay. There were meetings, ideas, plans, conversations. If someone had looked in from the outside, they probably would have said, looks like things are moving. But my body had started telling a different story. There was a heaviness I couldn't explain, a tightening in my chest before certain meetings or conversations that I knew were coming. That familiar little knot in my stomach, the one that whispers before your mind has caught up or wants to believe it. It wasn't the first time I'd felt it either. In fact, it was probably the third in a similar scenario. And that's the part I look back on now with so much compassion, because I wasn't ignoring it out of stupidity. I was ignoring it because I desperately wanted the story to end differently. Have you ever done that? Known something or known someone and hoped hard enough that reality might change? We had the conversations, promises were made, things were acknowledged. For a little while, I convinced myself the dashboard light had disappeared. But it hadn't. I'd simply become very good at explaining it away to myself. Because here's the uncomfortable truth I had to learn. Hope is so beautiful, but hope is not evidence. And there comes a point where believing in someone's potential starts costing you your own peace. Whether that's in a friendship, a relationship, a workplace, a family member, or even the relationship you have with yourself. I used to think intuition was this mystical gift that only some people had. Now I know it's much simpler than that. I feel intuition is often your nervous system recognizing a pattern before your conscious mind is willing to name it. Your body remembers what your heart is still trying to negotiate. That's why we can't walk into a room and instantly feel at ease or instantly feel on edge. There are certain places we enter and they instantly make us feel good or instantly make us feel anxious before anyone else has even spoken. Your body and its intelligence is gathering information all the time, not to make you fearful, to keep you connected to yourself. And I wonder, how many dashboard lights are glowing quietly in your own life right now? Not the dramatic ones, the subtle ones. The relationship that leaves you exhausted instead of expanded. The opportunity that sounds and looks perfect on paper and in conversation, but makes your chest tighten. The conversation you've been rehearsing in your head for 6 months. The boundary you've already decided to set 100 times before. Maybe this isn't your body failing you. Maybe it's been writing you love letters all along, and maybe today is the day you'll finally open one. We don't abandon ourselves because we're weak. We abandon ourselves because we learned it was safer. And I want you to stay with me in this part of the conversation. There are very few people who make and wake up one morning and consciously decide, you know what? Today I'm going to ignore my intuition completely, abandon my needs, and slowly disconnect from myself. It's not how it happens. Self-abandonment isn't a personality flaw. It's usually an adaptation. It's intelligence, it's survival. And I think that's important to remember because so many women carry shame for the very thing that once helped them survive. Children are extraordinary observers. Before we learn maths, before we learn grammar, before we learn to drive a car or write a resume, we learn something so much more important. What do I need to do to stay loved here? Think about that for a moment. Not who am I, but who do I need to become? Maybe you learnt to become the easy child, the funny one, the achiever, the peacemaker, the caretaker, the independent one who never asked for help, the strong one, the capable one, the one who never cried because everyone else already had enough on their plate. We don't choose those identities. We inherit them. We build them quietly, brick by brick, and then one day we wake up at 40 or 30 or 50 or 60 wondering why we don't know who we are without them. For a long time, I wore the capable one, the dependable one, like a badge of honor. I could handle it, figure it out, carry more, fix it, keep everyone moving. Whether it was raising 3 little children alone, holding businesses together, supporting friends, managing teams, or simply convincing myself that if I just worked a little harder, loved a little bigger, explained myself a little more clearly, everything would eventually settle. People would understand. Things would become what I hoped they could be. And from the outside, it looked strong. People would tell me all the time, I don't know how you do it. And if I'm honest, some days neither did I. Because strength can sometimes become the most beautiful disguise for exhaustion. Capability can become a hiding place. Not because being capable is wrong. It's one of the things I'm genuinely proud of. But somewhere along the way, I realized I'd become so good at holding everyone else that I'd stopped checking whether anyone, including me, was holding Tara. Maybe your disguise looks different to mine. Maybe yours is being endlessly understanding, always available, never wanting to disappoint or upset anyone. Maybe yours is perfection, control, achievement, humor, being the one who always has the answers, being the one who never needs anything. Whatever it is, ask yourself this. Is it who you are? Or is it who you became to feel safe? Because they're not always the same thing. One of the biggest shifts I've experienced over the last few years came from a question I couldn't stop asking myself. Where did I learn that? Where did I learn that saying no was selfish? Where did I learn that rest had to be earned? Where did I learn that love meant proving myself? Where did I learn that if someone couldn't meet me where I was, I should simply explain myself better, right? Where did I learn that my value lived in what I produced rather than who I was? Those questions changed everything, and I love a good set of questions. Not because they gave me someone to blame. Actually, it was the opposite. They gave me someone to understand. The younger version of me wasn't broken. She was brilliant. She found ways to survive environments she couldn't control. She learned to read rooms before she entered them. She noticed the emotional weather. She anticipated people's needs. She became incredibly perceptive, incredibly resilient, capable, and I'm so grateful for her, truly, because she got me here. But the skills that protect us as children and adolescents can quietly imprison us as adults. The hypervigilance that once kept you safe can stop you ever relaxing. The people-pleasing that once created connection can slowly disconnect you from yourself. The independence that once made you resilient can stop you from receiving love. The strength that helped you survive can become the very thing that keeps people from seeing when you're struggling. And that's why healing feels so confusing, because you're not trying to become someone else. You're trying to gently thank an old version of yourself for doing an extraordinary job before letting her finally put the weight down. There's something I've been thinking about lately. We spend so much of our lives trying to become the woman we admire, more confident, successful, peaceful, healed, more enough. But I wonder if healing isn't actually about becoming anyone. And I'm sure I've touched on this before. I wonder if it's about slowly removing everything that was actually never yours to carry in the first place. The masks, the expectations, the performances, the identities you built to survive, until one day you meet yourself, not for the first time, but for the first time without needing to perform. And maybe that's why this conversation matters so much, because self-abandonment doesn't begin the first time someone lets you down. It begins the first time you decide that someone else's comfort matters more than your own truth. And the beautiful thing about that, if that's where it begins, then every single moment you choose honesty over performance, presence over perfection, truth over approval, you're already walking home. And coming home isn't a feeling, it's a practice. Can I tell you something I've stopped believing? I've stopped believing, and I have for quite some time, that one day we wake up healed. That one day everything suddenly clicks into place perfectly. Then we arrive at this magical destination where we're completely confident, completely regulated, completely certain of every decision we make. Maybe that place exists, but it certainly hasn't for me. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure I'd want it to, because what would there be left to discover? What would there be left to soften into? What would be left to learn? I don't believe healing is an arrival. I believe it's a relationship with yourself. And like every relationship, it isn't built in grand declarations. It's built in the ordinary. Like imagine you've been hiking. You took a wrong turn hours ago. At first, you barely noticed. The path looked familiar enough. The trees were beautiful. The conversation was distracting, and you kept walking. Eventually, you stop and you realize, I'm not where I thought I was. Now, here's the interesting part. You don't get home by wishing harder. You don't get home by feeling guilty for taking the wrong path. You don't get home by sitting on a rock replaying every decision that you got to get here. You get home one step at a time. You turn around, you find the path again, you keep walking. Healing is far less dramatic than we've been sold, especially in this new age world. It's rarely one giant leap, one giant breathwork session, one deep dive into your shadow. It's 1,000 quiet turns back towards yourself over and over again. I think sometimes we're sold choosing yourself has to look dramatic. Leaving, quitting, starting over, burning it all down. And the older I get, the more I realize self-trust is built in moments so ordinary that most people would miss them. And maybe that's the point. It's going to bed when you're tired instead of answering one more email or one more text. It's saying, actually, that doesn't work for me, without writing a 3-page essay explanation. It's leaving the table where your nervous system has been asking you to leave for years. It's keeping the promise you made to yourself this morning, not because anyone is watching, but because you are. It's noticing your shoulders have crept up around your ears and choosing to let them soften. It's eating because you're hungry, resting when you're tired, laughing without apologizing for being loud, crying without apologizing for being emotional, speaking before resentment has a chance to become a huge part of your personality. These moments seem insignificant until you realize this is actually how trust is built, not in the extraordinary, in the repeated ordinary. A few months ago, I caught myself doing something I'd done my whole life. I was explaining a decision that deep down I already knew was right, not because the other person had asked me to, because I felt responsible for making sure they understood. I could hear myself adding context, adding reasons, adding reassurance, trying to make my boundary more comfortable for someone else. And halfway through the conversation, I actually laughed because I realized I wasn't speaking from peace. I was speaking from permission. I was still asking someone else to approve a decision my own soul and heart and brain had already made. Maybe you've done that too. Maybe you've found yourself over-explaining a full body no, or shrinking a dream so it feels less threatening, or pretending something doesn't matter because someone else couldn't meet you there. We do it so subtly, and every time we do, we place another vote in the ballot box for everyone else's voice over our own. But every time we honour what we know, even if our voice shakes, we cast another vote for ourselves. And I love that image because confidence isn't something you're born with. Confidence is evidence. It's the accumulation of thousands of moments where you realize, I can trust myself. Not because I've always made perfect decisions, but because even when I haven't, I've stayed with myself. I haven't abandoned myself. There's a line I come back to so often, and maybe you've heard it before. How we do one thing is how we do everything. I think the same is true for self-trust. Every promise you keep to yourself matters. Every boundary you honour matters. Every time you listen to the whisper instead of waiting for the scream, it matters. Because you're teaching your nervous system something profoundly healing. You're teaching it, I'll listen this time. I won't leave you here. We're on the same team now. And maybe that's what coming home actually is. Not finding a new version of yourself, not fixing yourself, not becoming more impressive. Simply becoming someone your own heart can finally exhale beside. Someone your nervous system no longer has to fight to be heard by. Someone who keeps her word to herself. So let's go back to the old house we spoke about at the beginning. The house. The one that maybe had the tiny crack in the wall. Here's what I know now. Old houses don't become beautiful because they've never been damaged. They become beautiful because someone cared enough to restore them, patiently, room by room, beam by beam, without shame, without rushing, with reverence for everything the house had already survived. I think we're much the same. Life leaves cracks. Grief does, heartbreak does, motherhood does, friendship endings do, businesses that don't unfold the way we imagined, dreams that ask us to begin again. None of us get through them untouched, but the question isn't whether there are cracks. The question is, who gets to tend to them now? Because for so long, many of us have been waiting for someone else to arrive with the tools, the right partner, the perfect boss, the friend who finally understands you, the family member who apologizes, the life that finally becomes easier. And while those things can be so beautiful, they're not where home lives. Home begins the moment you decide, I will not leave myself here anymore. Not perfectly. You'll still doubt yourself. You'll still overthink. You'll still say yes when you meant no sometimes. You'll still forget. I do too. But here's the difference. You'll remember a lot sooner. You'll hear the whisper before it becomes a scream. You'll notice the dashboard light instead of waiting for the breakdown. You'll recognize when you've wandered from the path instead of judging yourself. You'll just simply turn around next time. And again, and again, and again, because coming home isn't one extraordinary decision. It's 1,000 ordinary ones. The world teaches us to forgive other people. Life eventually teaches us to stop apologizing for ourselves. Because healing isn't becoming someone new. It's becoming someone who no longer abandons herself. And maybe that's what remembering has always meant. So before we finish today, I've been thinking about something while writing and speaking this episode. We spend so much of our lives asking ourselves a lot of the wrong questions. How do I become more confident? How do I become more successful? How do I become more healed? How do I become the woman I'm meant to be? Become. It's exhausting. As if the woman we're looking for isn't always somewhere out in front of us. One more book, one more course, one more relationship, one more achievement, one more 27-step morning routine away. And while I love all those things and they have their place, don't get me wrong, I love learning. I love books. I love courses. I love creating them, but I love doing them. I love growing. I don't think we ever stop evolving. That's not what I'm saying. But somewhere along the way, I wonder if we've mistaken remembering for becoming. Because if there's one thing these past few years have taught me, it's that every season that looked like my life was falling apart was actually life stripping away everything that wasn't truly me. The marriage ending, the friendships that quietly came to a close, closing businesses I poured my heart and soul into, dreams changing shape, being misunderstood, beginning again. And at the time, every one of those moments felt like I was losing something. Now I can see I was being returned to something, to myself, not to a newer version, not to a better version, not to a more evolved version, just me, the woman underneath all the roles, underneath the proving, the performance, the survival. And I wonder how many of you beautiful women listening here are standing in exactly that place, not being punished by life, being invited by it. Because sometimes life doesn't remove people to hurt us. Sometimes it removes the places where we've stopped belonging to ourselves. I know there will be women listening today who are in the middle of that right now. A relationship changing, a friendship ending, a career no longer fitting, a body asking for something different, children growing up and needing you differently, grief, perimenopause, motherhood, business, the quiet ache of wondering, who am I now? If that's you, I want you to hear this. You do not have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know exactly what's next. You don't have to force clarity before it's ready to arrive. Sometimes the bravest thing you'll do is simply stop walking away from yourself. Today, just today, listen to the whisper, honor the feeling, have the conversation, rest, say no, say yes, leave early, cry, laugh, go for the walk, book the appointment, write the application, start the damn thing, end the damn thing. Not because they're all life-changing decisions, because every tiny act of self-loyalty tells your nervous system, hey, I haven't forgotten you. And I think that's one of the most beautiful forms of healing there is. So let's go back to the house one more time. The crack in the wall. For most of this conversation, we've been talking about noticing it, understanding how it got there, being curious about why we walked past it for so long. But here's what I know. Old homes don't become beautiful because they've never weathered storms. They become beautiful because someone decides they're worth restoring, like I said before. Patiently, room by room, season by season, not trying to erase their history, honouring it. We're exactly the same. Your scars aren't proof you failed. They're proof that you stayed. Your cracks aren't evidence that you're broken. They're evidence that you've lived, loved, lost, carried, kept going. But there comes a moment when you stop asking who left this crack and begin asking, how do I care for this home now? Because this body, this mind, this heart, this life, it's your home. The only one you'll ever fully live in. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest love story of all our lives isn't waiting for another person. Maybe it's the one you're finally willing to have with yourself. Not the Instagram version, not the perfectly healed version, the ordinary one. The one that keeps her promises, the one that trusts the whisper, the one that no longer needs permission to know what she knows. The one who stops abandoning herself. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, it's this. You don't lose yourself all at once. You don't find yourself all at once either. You lose yourself in tiny moments of disconnection, and you find yourself in tiny moments of return. One breath, one boundary, one honest conversation, one decision, one ordinary act of choosing yourself. Again and again and again, because coming home isn't a destination, it's a practice, remember? And every single day, life quietly asks us the same question. Will you stay with yourself today? I hope your answer becomes yes. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth coming home to. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for trusting me with your walk, your drive, your coffee, your quiet moment in the cupboard, whatever it is. If this conversation found something in you today, share it with someone you love, someone who might need the reminder that they don't have to keep believing themselves. And until we're together again, be gentle with yourself, okay? Listen to the whispers, trust what your body has been trying to tell you. Keep repairing the home you live in, because no one else gets to come home for you. Only you can do that. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to begin. This is Muse House, and I'll chat with you again next week.